and awareness, the ECSC Bridging the Gap Through Community Engagement, brought to you live from your local GIS stations, YouTube, and on the court's website, www.eccourts.org. The ECSC Opening of the Law Year 2025. It's your court. Don't miss it. And awareness, the ECSC Bridging the Gap Through Community Engagement, brought to you live from your local GIS.
The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court presents the Opening of the Law Year 2025. Meet the Speakers live. Join us for our 3-episode broadcast on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of January 2025, each day at 3 p.m. Streamed live via the court's website, www.eccourts.org, where we get to talk with the speakers who are here addressing the broadcast Opening of the Law Year 2025. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court Opening of the Law Year 2025. Meet the speakers live. Don't miss it. The speakers addressing you. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court presents Meet the Speakers 2025. Join us as we chat live with the speakers, addressing you for the opening of the law year 2025. His Lordship, the Honorable Mr. Mario Michel, Acting Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. The Honorable Leslie Mondesi, Attorney General and Representative of St. Lucia. Her Honor, Miss Candia Carrot George, Representative of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Miss Shannon Jones-Giddens, Director of Public Prosecutions and Representative of Antigua and Barbuda. Miss Siobhan Spencer-Joseph, Solicitor General and Representative of Grenada. Mr. John Carrington, King's Counsel and Representative of the British Virgin Islands. Miss Jean Dyer, President and Representative of the OECS Bar Association. Miss Merlene Barrett, Representative of the Territory of Anguilla. Mr. Horace Sullivan, Representative of the Territory of Montserrat. Miss Michelle O'Brien, Representative of St. Kitts and Nevis. Mr. Jamali John, Representative of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. With your host, Michelle John Thibbles, Chief Registrar. Good afternoon, everyone, and we'd like to welcome you to the second edition of Meet the Speakers Live for our opening of the law year 2025. For those of you who joined us yesterday, we had a very exciting program with our speakers, and you're joined today by some more of our speakers, and we're going to introduce them one at a time. Well, I will allow them to tell you a bit about themselves. So we want to start with the Honorable Attorney General of St. Lucia, Honorable Leslie Mondesi. Good afternoon, AG.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, my fellow speakers. My name is Leslie Mondesi. I'm the Attorney General of St. Lucia, was appointed in July 2021. Thank you and good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon. Next door neighbor, we're next door to each other, the building next door. And a little further off from St. Lucia, I'd like to introduce DPP of Montserrat, Mr. Oris Sullivan, not here in the capacity as Director of Public Prosecutions, but we're happy to have you nonetheless. Good afternoon, DPP.
Good afternoon, Chief Registrar. My pleasure. Happy New Year to everybody. Good afternoon to my fellow speakers. As you have said, I have Montserrat. Been in this post for a while, since 2013. Winding down, let me put it that way. But I'm really delighted to be invited to be a speaker this afternoon.
Thanks, we're happy to have you. And following on from Montserrat, not too far away, we have joining us the president of the Bar Association of Anguilla, Miss Marlene Barrett. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chief Registrar. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to represent Anguilla. My name, as you heard, is Marlene Barrett. I am the president of the Anguilla Bar Association, have been for the last 3 years or so. I think, like my learned friend, I am winding down as well. But it is really a pleasure to be here. I've been a lawyer for a while. 25 years, I think, is enough time to move on to something else.
Well, we're happy to have you join us in this capacity this year. Moving on to Dominica, we have Her Honor, Miss Candia Carrot George. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Madam Chief Registrar. Good afternoon, everybody. My colleagues, speakers on this platform today. My name is Candia Carrot George, and I am from the island of Dominica. I have been Chief Magistrate here since 2013, and it's my pleasure to be on this platform this afternoon.
All right, thank you. Good to have you. And last but certainly not least, we move over to St. Kitts and Nevis representative. Good afternoon, Ms. O'Brien.
Good afternoon, Madam Chief Registrar, and to the rest of the learned speakers. Happy New Year. My name, as indicated, is Miss L. O'Brien. I am a practitioner for the past 21 years. I've always been in private practice. Previously, I have served on the Bar Association in St. Kitts and Nevis as a past secretary and council member. I am currently the St. Kitts and Nevis Bar Association rep to the Council of Legal Education. And on Friday, I'll be speaking on behalf of the senior members of the Ottawa Bar.
All right, and it's good to have you. There's just a wealth of experience in this room here today, and we're so honored. Let me take the opportunity to thank you all, not for only accepting the invitation to join me here this afternoon, but most importantly, to be one of our esteemed speakers for the opening of the Law Year 2025. There are activities planned across the Eastern Caribbean for the opening of the law year. What's the temperature like, Ms. Barrett, in Anguilla, where the opening is concerned? Hot and steamy?
I'm hoping by Friday we'll be boiling over, but
all right, I like to hear that.
So we have to rally the troops so that we are not left out.
Yes. And could you tell us some of the activities planned for Friday?
We Friday, once the opening, we're going to be at the regular church worship, and that starts at 8 at St. Mary's. And then we are going to process. We hope to have as many people as possible. As I said before, Anguilla is small, and a lot of the lawyers seem not to like to walk up the road. But hopefully I could get them out and get them walking up, and then we will have the opening and then some refreshments afterwards. And then later on in the year, we have certain activities as well that marks the opening, because we are proposing to have a mock trial, and we're going to be using the students who are studying A-level law. So they're going to be prosecutors, defense, jury. They're going to do everything. All the lawyers are going to be doing is just helping them to prepare and then give them certain, be the assessors at the end of the trial. So it promises to be interesting. It's on the 20th of February, and we can't wait.
Oh, that sounds really exciting, and it fits right into the theme for this year's opening, which we'll get to in a while. I like to hear that. That's wonderful. So, Ms. O'Brien, what about St. Kitts and Nevis? The opening is is across the waters this year, is it not? Oh, sorry, you on mute? Just asked you to unmute.
Yes, we're going over to our sister island, Nevis, this year. A lot of buzz has been created by our registrars and our bar president. We are hoping that our practitioners will come out in their numbers. We will have a church service at the St. Paul's Anglican Church, and then we will do the procession in our robes, and of course, gather at the Theodore L. Hobson King's Council Courthouse, where we will have the special sitting streamed.
Okay, sounds wonderful. What about Dominica?
Well, we are getting ready as well. We begin on Friday morning at 8:15 with a church service at the Roseau Seventh-day Adventist Church. We're expecting all legal practitioners to be present, and of course, people like our police chief and so on will be there. After the service, we proceed to the Roseau Bayfront, Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard. So we have a procession where all the legal practitioners will walk down the road through the streets of Roseau to the Bayfront. And on getting there will be a guard of honor that the police will present to the resident judges, which they will be expected to inspect and approve. And following this, we go for the court sitting at the High Court of Justice in Roseau as well. So we really looking forward to it and getting ready, getting excited.
Wonderful. You know, for me, there's something special about that guard of honor. I just look forward to it all the time. From a little girl, I do. So I'm looking forward to that over here as well.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan, Montserrat, a lot smaller in size than the other islands, but big
But
at heart nonetheless.
We do things similar to the others. The opening of the Loyer is always a big time on Montserrat. Probably not for only the fact that at the opening of the Loyer, generally there's the assizes coming up. We do it a little bit different now. We've gone away from the assizes, but the opening is big nonetheless. That is when we invite dignitaries, not only lawyers, but prominent members of the community comes to the opening of the Loyer. There's a guard of honor like everybody else. It's normally on the government headquarters compound, and those of us who know Montserrat knows that the guard of the government headquarters compound is near to the police station. But now, this year is changed because there are some repairs to the courtroom, which I think is beneficial because it's now in the middle of town. It is in the commercial sector next door banks, next door utilities, churches, that area. So in keeping with the theme of awareness, people will be more aware as to what's happening and the significance of the opening of the Loyer.
I like that, and more involved as well. Talk about accessibility, yeah?
Yeah, certainly. And normally we invite students from the community college and the secondary school. This year we're going a little bit further. We're going to the primary schools.
Wow.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, wonderful. I hope that we get pictures from all over. I know Mr. Dwayne Brissett has mandated the registrars to ensure we get pictures. We're really looking forward to that. And I'm coming right back home to St. Lucia. AG?
Yes, well, I mean, I'm so excited by hearing my colleagues. I might actually leave St. Lucia and go to maybe Montserrat.
No way.
Or
Not
Skid.
happening.
Montserrat
But
too.
we in St. Lucia, we have a church service at the Bethel Tabernacle, which is a Pentecostal church here in Sanssouci where we are. I've been to the Bethel Tabernacle before. It's a very lively church. So I expect that the opening of the Loyer by the pastor there will be very lively as per usual. And then from there, we have a very short walk. I know lawyers, judges, they don't like to walk, but it's a very short walk from the Bethel Tabernacle to the National Cultural Center for the opening of the special sitting at 10 a.m. to mark the opening of the Loyer. As for other activities in the year, I've been told that there'll be a visit to the Boys Training Center by the court. The court intends to do that to discuss, to meet the young boys there, to discuss reform and young boys in conflict with the law, and also a visit to the prisons by the court to meet the persons who are who have mental issues and who are before the court. So we have those other activities in addition to the opening on Friday. So I think at least the court is engaging the community, not just sitting in the courtroom from Monday to Friday, but engaging the community and going out, which I think is a very good thing. That's basically what we're doing on Friday. Yeah.
And just to add to that, we have a chorale called Voices of Justice over in St. Lucia.
Oh,
So
yes,
look forward
yes.
forward to that for
Yes,
our church service.
That's right.
So
that's right.
yeah, so we're all very excited. And the theme, this brings us right to the theme. I think it's so timely. Accessibility and awareness, the ECSC bridging the gap through community engagement. And I like how AG touched on it earlier on when he said, you know, you get to see the court from outside of the courtroom. Most times persons, when they think of a court, is just a judge sitting, presiding over matters. That's their view, you know. But when we realize that we need to bridge the gap, let people become more aware that this court, it's not just your court, it's not just mine as a legal fraternity, but it belongs to the people of the Eastern Caribbean. As anything else that is ours, we ought to be patriotic, proud of it, and we definitely have to know about it. So without giving out too much, because I know you will be delivering your address centered around this theme, but could you just tell us, I'll start with Ms. O'Brien, what does this theme mean to you and St. Kitts and Nevis?
Well, to me, I consider that the court and the legal practitioners, we provide a service to the public. And part of that service, we have to make sure that the public is informed about their legal rights and the different services that we have to offer. So this means a lot to us, and it's very encouraging to see that the court is continuing to endeavor to make the public aware of the services, and it encourages the practitioners to get on board and continue to work collaboratively amongst themselves and even with the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs to do certain things that can help to bring about more awareness of what we do and the processes and more access to justice.
It's wonderful. Ms. Barrett, if you could tell us a bit about Anguilla and also the Bar Association, how you plan to engage in that this year.
It's interesting because when I saw the theme, the first thing that actually jumped out to me is it would appear to me that the court believes we have an inclusivity issue or an inclusion issue. And if we can, and by that I mean that it is that a wide cross section of the people don't feel that this is their court. The court is there, and they all know that the court is there, but they still don't feel like the court is there. They feel like they don't belong, or it doesn't cater to their needs, and most of that I felt comes from misinformation about what the processes are, misinformation about what the court is about, and that misinformation. And so I thought the theme was apt, because if you think that this institution doesn't reflect your values, doesn't reflect what you want, how can we change that? And we can only change that by making people aware of what the court is all about, what it is there for, what it can do. Because there's no point in talking about access if people are not aware of what is there.
Yes.
And access to justice is a right, a fundamental right. And the court provides that. So that is how I am looking. I saw the theme, and that is how I intend to address the theme.
Wonderful. Your Honor.
Yes, I was just thinking of the theme, and what came to my mind is something our Bar Association engaged in just over the Christmas. As you spoke of the Voices of Justice chorale that you have in St. Lucia, our Bar Association here has something similar, and they went about over the Christmas holidays going to the infirmary to the home for the homeless and places like these, just singing Christmas songs, bringing hampers and so on to the less fortunate. And this, I believe, spoke volumes and was a move in terms of bridging the gap. A lot of times people see the court as something that's aloof, that's something that they have to, stay out of and remain far from, and they don't really embrace it. And I believe that moving forward this year, even as we embrace this theme, I know a lot more along those lines will be done. Whenever we have our Law Week in Dominica, there is always, there are forums set up where members of the public can just come and get pro bono advice and stuff like that. So I am really happy that we have this theme. We're going to embrace it and move forward with it this year.
Wonderful. And I said it before, and I want to add again that the Dominica Bar Association continues to impress me so much with the activities that you do all year round, little things just to sort of engage the public. And I think it's so commendable. And I know a lot of the bar associations are working hard as well at it, but I just want to say I heard the plans from Dominica, and I really have to commend you on the work that you do over there. AG, for St. Lucia.
Well, when I saw it, the first thing I said, well, at least I was very pleased that the court is seeking to engage the public. The court is saying, and as Chief Magistrate said, it's not aloof. You're presenting a more human touch to the people of St. Lucia. As a matter of fact, you walk into a court, I see Mr. DPP there, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan looks very serious. The court, you'd be pushed back. Then I before the senior magistrate, Ms. George, looking at them on the bench. You figure as St. Lucians, you're already intimidated by that. But the court is saying, look, don't be intimidated. We are human beings too. The DPP is working for us. Chief Magistrate is working for us. So basically, you come forward and interact with the St. Lucians. And there's something that concerned me, where in recent times in St. Lucia, the court was getting a lot of criticism from people who should know better and should not be doing that. So I think it's an opportunity for the court to say, you know what, who we are, and basically say, we, especially the judicial independence, because people were accusing the court of all sorts of things. So now the court, in my view, had the opportunity to say to the public, especially St. Lucia and the wider region, look, this is who we are. The judges are independent, but basically we are human beings like everyone else in St. Lucia and the rest of the region. That was what I thought when I saw it.
Yes. And it's amazing that you should say that, because we, our institution, we get staff who come in, young lawyers as well, to work as judicial research assistants. And when they come in, they are, at first, they're so intimidated. They're like, oh my goodness, they're working with the Chief Justice of Appeal, not sure how exactly. And then in no time, they realize that the atmosphere is so different from what you see in court or what they thought or what they came in. And because, you see that, you realize now, yes, there's another side to these persons, and I'm happy to hear AG say that, because this is really what we want to show people. We are human beings as well. We're called to serve, as Ms. O'Brien said. We have work to do, but you're human beings as well. Yeah. So I'm really hoping that this is the light that will be spread across the Eastern Caribbean as we work towards developing this theme as the year goes by. Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, like the other speakers, I think the perception on Montserrat is similar. But I recall there was a time when there were cases going on, criminal and civil cases, when our courtrooms used to be filled with people. Not so nowadays. We even have difficulty getting witnesses to come in. So I look at it both from the perspectives of my friends and also from the perspective of the e-friendly and the user-friendly methods now that the court is embarking upon. That no longer do you have to come into a courtroom, but you can give your evidence, for example, on the Zoom or on any other link. But even more important than that is that the information is now getting out to the public, and the public is now buying into what is available. Court is not just a place where you're going because something has been done wrong to you or you have done something wrong, but a place where you get justice, and justice is paramount for everybody. You want to be sure that when you have an issue, it will be dealt with fairly and amicably. And that is the message I see coming out from all of this awareness. The ease of which now you can make applications, the ease of which now you can access the court. And I'm sure not only would we have physical attendance being improved, but attendance online. And one of the things I wanted to recommend, without giving too much, is that we have going forward open court sessions online, so people can come online and listen to cases.
You know, we spoke about that yesterday. I don't know how many of you were able to catch the Meet the Speakers yesterday, but it did come up because persons was saying, you know, they really would like to see the court get to that place. And I could say that it is in our contemplation. We just want to ensure that when we do it right, because, you know, there are a lot of nuances that we have to take into account. But I believe that this is really where we have to go. I would be in agreement with you. And I like what you said, DPP, earlier, that you having the primary school students in there, because part of bridging the gap would really be to start with the young ones. You know, I recall as a child that I didn't know much about the court. I found that even when I wanted to be a lawyer, the lawyer in my contemplation was more like Ali McBeal and Perry Mason kind of law. Yeah. You know, it wasn't really anything about Eastern Caribbean, no legal luminaries. I'm telling you, none of them whatsoever did I even know about. Sir Vincent, Sir Dennis, we can't even go back to Robotham and Alan Lewis, and I didn't know about any of these people. I had not been taught that in school. I did because of the way my curriculum was. I never did social studies in school. So I imagine that maybe social studies, it might have touched in social studies, I don't know. But I realized that, why don't we know about this? Why don't our students know about that? So I'm trying to make a difference with my children to make sure that they at least knew, you know, a bit about the court. How important do you think that aspect of it is to the accessibility and the awareness drive that we're trying to get into? AG, or anybody can read?
Let me just add a couple of things and tell you the reason why I do that. For the last 3 years prior to now, I've been taking on during the summertime children from the primary school as interns. And there's two reasons why I do it. One, Montserrat has lost a lot of his human resource capital. So I'm trying to build for the future. And building for the future means that in my area, I need to build new lawyers, young lawyers. And I think the starting point is not really secondary school or even the community college, but the primary school. And in building, there's an awareness and there's continuity so that the awareness spreads. When they go back to school, they're going to tell their colleagues about what they learned, who they saw. Part of what we do is ensure that they at least get into one sitting in the High Court and one in the Magistrates Court, so that they spread the news, each one teach one. So each one tells one. And there's been some excitement and there's been a lot of interest in the young ones trying to get into our offices as interns.
That's really commendable. I like that idea. I wish I had thought of that. Now I can't say it's my idea. I like that. That's a very good idea. Very commendable, Mr. Sullivan. Very, very commendable.
Thank you.
Yes. AG, would you
Well,
want to weigh in on
Well,
that?
I agree. That's a very good idea by Mr. Sullivan. Something we can look at over here. We may look at that. But I agree that at least the young people would need to see who the lawyers are, see exactly your decorum, how you behave, and that sort of thing. Unlike you, on my way to school in secondary school, I passed the chambers of Flosac and Girodi. So I did see Sir Vincent Flosac in his olive green suit going to his chambers on a morning. I'd see a legal luminary, Henry Girodi. So I always wondered, these men well-dressed, looking so stiff and everything. You understand? So I understood exactly there was a certain measure of decorum and that sort of thing. But I never wanted to be a lawyer anyway. This is my second choice, really. Having said that, but I think at least these young students, they come to the court, they see exactly, they become an intern in your chambers, they see, they listen, they learn manners, how to address people. Because I'm sure you would see basically young people, sometimes they respond a bit rough and that sort of thing, because there's no one to look up to. Even now, we all lawyers are mainly on Zoom, but basically we to have the old court where lawyers come and mingle. So we'd be out in the yards, engaging each other, engaging the clients. So the public would see you, you understand, and you'd engage, they shout you, hey, my brother, what's up? And they come and engage you and that sort of thing. But now we all in the offices, we're having a meeting there now. I guess the different jurisdictions, but we all on Zoom, whereas the interaction, so young people would need to see how lawyers behave. And as you say, look, this is not the person you see on the bench all the time. This person goes to the supermarket, like Justice Redhead would be in the supermarket buying his wine and cheese. He's a human being. You understand? He's a human being. He's buying his groceries there. So he's not just somebody who's sitting on the bench. You understand? Sitting on the bench and he's aloof, but he's a human being. And young people could say, well, I want to emulate Justice Redhead. This person, I may not know his name, but I want to emulate this person. I want to emulate Sir Vincent or somebody like that. That's right. So I think it's a very good idea what DVP is saying. Very good idea.
Yes, certainly, certainly. And I remember those times, AG. I remember those times, just the camaraderie. I suppose there are ups and downsides, but really and truly, we just have to make the most out of what we have.
Yes.
The times we have. And I really support empowering the youth for the future, because that they are just that, the future. They are the future lawyers and judges, the future legal fraternity, Ms. Barrett.
Another sad thing, though, that comes from, and I do agree with the representative from Montserrat that we need to engage the youth, because the fact is that most of the young people know about the court through something criminal, not some civil matter or anything like that. And the target these days, because Anguilla is having a rising crime problem, and the target these days are the young people. So, because I remember during Law Week last year, November, we went into the school to speak about crime and punishment. And those 11 and 12-year-olds, the things they can tell you about crime and criminal activity, you would be surprised. So it is important to engage them at that stage. I don't believe that we should wait until high school, because it is important to engage them at that stage, because that is the experience of the court that most of them will get, because they will not be filing a breach of contract claim or anything, but somebody will do something to them. And one of the things they keep saying, they're not snitches, so nobody's going to say anything.
Mm.
And if you do this, they're going to do one better. Who's not going to body slam? Who is going to do all? So this is what our young people are learning. And from TV, from what they see in the public. And so it's important to engage them. So I am glad that the court is doing that in their project Justice in schools and stuff like that, because a lot of students feel that retaliation and violence is the way to go.
Yes. And once they learn that, it's very difficult to unlearn it.
Very difficult to unlearn it. And so it's important to get them early. So that project, Montserrat, is very commendable, because at least you're exposing them to what goes on. And a lot of it is misinformation too. They have a lot of misinformation. And this is the opportunity to clear up some of that misinformation.
And sometimes, even at home, there's misinformation. So the kids now learning can take that back to their homes and they can share with their families just in conversation, let their mom and dad, their siblings know, this is really what the court does. And this is when I worked here, this is what they, and that way you get to spread the positive, word and get some influence, Okay. Ms. George.
Yes, I believe it's important to try our best to link with the young people, go into the schools, go to the youth groups, and just try to educate as much as we can on the courts, the use of the courts, the law. I have been to a few schools, just speaking to young people, and sometimes you realize that based on the geographic area you are, you get different types of questions from the young people. There are some, I can remember going into a classroom and all they could think about is crime and just talk about guns and how do you deal with gun cases and how many years do you sentence for if you have a gun and drugs and these kinds of things.
Yes.
And it was good just to be there to educate them and let them see the dangers, that these are things that you really need to stay away from. You don't want to be going down that route because it could really just spoil your life. And then you go to other locations and they're just interested in the career aspect of it. I would want to become a lawyer, but I don't want to go and defend criminals. And then you get the opportunity to just open it up to them and let them understand that becoming a lawyer opens you up to so many opportunities that you don't necessarily, you don't even have to ever go to court. Lawyers become corporate secretaries, become so many different things. You can work in a bank, you can work in so I believe that it's really good that we can just go out there, and we should continue in that vein, going to the schools and so on, and just educating the young people as to the vast possibilities that exist in becoming lawyers, and just educating them on the courts, and even if it's just to get them to try to not come as criminals, but come in other forms, just to learn and absorb and so on. So
yes. Of course, and that's always a plus, huh?
Definitely.
You don't want them coming as criminals at all.
I know.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes, I too applaud the Montserrat Bar and the ECSC's initiative, especially with the Justice in Schools program, because I do agree it is important to encourage our young people to be positive, contributing members of society, to educate them as to their rights, because they have rights too, and it's good when they know what those rights are, and so that they can identify when they are being infringed. Our bar too has done some work with the schools, as well as especially the College of Further Education, or the CFBC. But when we give, as you said, it has the effect of benefiting the entire society when these children know they go back to their homes, they spread the news, because with transparency, it removes the mystery and the misconception. And there's a lot of misconception. And once there's transparency, there's confidence in the public, has confidence in the court and the type of services that we provide. So it can only be beneficial.
Yes. And you use that word mystery. There's a lot of mystery with the courts. A lot of people, especially older people, they will tell you that they really don't know things. It's almost like they're not supposed to know things about the court. Like, we're not supposed to be transparent, but actually we should be as transparent as possible, and this is where this theme comes in again, because a lot of the initiatives, the reform initiatives that we do here at the court is geared towards access to justice. It's at the forefront of our minds, accessibility, access to justice. Now, the ECSC has had a few reform initiatives, and in particular, some of them to create accessibility and awareness. If I know we're limited in time, but if you could just highlight for me just one of these, each of you, and tell me how you think that this has benefited your member state and territories. Who would like to start? Ms. Barrett?
Wow. She pulled me. I was actually looking at the criminal justice, the criminal procedure rules that the court is implementing. And I was looking at that because there tends to be the feeling, and I think it's almost a way of reimagining what justice should look like. The feeling that the only two parties in the situation, and I'm looking at it from a criminal law perspective, is the accused and the virtual complainant. And so we look at it and then we think about only those two persons sometimes, and we don't think about the other persons that are involved in the system. The system has witnesses. The system has witnesses that need protection. Sometimes they are young and they're vulnerable. And so when you look at some of the things that are being suggested under the criminal procedure rules, I was heartened by it. One, because Anguilla had gone ahead as well, probably knowing that this is where the court was trying to go, and was trying to pass a special measures bill that would have catered for many of those things that in terms of protecting younger, vulnerable witnesses and stuff like that. So I was heartened by those rules coming into effect. The other thing is the timeline it takes for matters to be disposed of. And one of the things that I looked at and I say, if the court could do this, it would be good, is where certain complaints had to come within a certain time. Now, of course, the court could deal with them, but I think it's going to pose a problem for the prosecution, but that's the prosecution's problem.
Okay.
And it will be a problem because here nothing moves as quickly as the court wants it to move. But I'm heartened by it because it takes too long sometimes for a matter to be disposed of and for there to be justice. So if there is one I would want to highlight, apart from the justice in schools, it would be the criminal procedure rules. I like the fact that they are coming on stream.
And, I would just take this opportunity to add to our listeners, to inform our listeners that there's a consultation going on right now for our revised criminal procedure rules. The draft revised rules are available on the court's website, www.eccourts.org. And the committee would really love to hear from legal practitioners in particular about those rules. So go on, give your comments. Ms. Barrett, thank you. I trust you put in some comments there based on what you've said.
I actually had a meeting with our Judge Justice Moise, and he would have gone through, and he did an excellent job actually in summarizing for us all of the changes that the rules will usher in, and that we begin to prepare ourselves. And that is what we found very, 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 very helpful for us, because we now see where it is going and we want it to go there, but at the same time, we have to get ourselves,
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. So, for Ms. Barrett, one of these reform initiatives is the criminal procedure rules. Your Honor.
Something that comes to my mind is the sentencing guidelines. It creates a sense of equity and justice, because in our laws we have our maximum sentences. But so much was, I believe, left to judicial discretion that sometimes you would have such a disparity in terms of sentences for similar matters from different magistrates that it would have left questions in the mind of the public as to, are these people really being fair? But now with the implementation of the sentencing guidelines, we have a guide, and it really helps to ensure that the sentences are closer. Although there is still discretion, it is not as wide as it used to be. If you follow strictly the sentencing guidelines, then the sentences would be more equitable and be about the same for the same crime. So I am happy that this has been implemented.
Wonderful. And speaking of the sentencing guidelines, effective 6th of January 2025, we have we have a new compendium of sentencing guidelines. So for those of you who have not yet gone online to take a look at them, as well as some of the practice directions have been revised as well, it would be a good time to take a look at these guidelines. They will work hand in hand, of course, with the criminal procedure rules. once they are on stream. Thank you for that, Your Honor. Mr. Sullivan?
I think the biggest thing for me is most people think, as DPP ever said, the criminal issues, but e-filing, both criminal and civil. And just earlier, well, last year, October, we had elections in Montserrat. So there was an elections petition. And the closeness of the issues are warranted that filing be done even on a weekend.
Yes.
In the old form of things, courts are closed on the weekend. So that would have been impossible. The other thing in terms of filing is that laypersons can file. Now it's not really only lawyers who deals with these things, but laypersons can file through your court office. So one, it's cost saving. Two, it's time saving, and three, it's efficiency and the ease at which you can have access to the courts.
Certainly, and it has really helped to modernize our court, even the way we internally, our internal processes as well. AG?
Well, like DVP, the e-litigation portal in the criminal division of the High Court and Magistrates Court was launched in October last year. And like senior magistrate, I did represent the criminals, as the young people in Dominica would say.
Yeah.
So I was very pleased in terms of when the litigation portal was launched in that criminal division. So basically, I can prepare my submissions at any time, file it. No need for me to have the clerk run to the office before 3 o'clock with stamps and all this thing. So at least I could do that if I'm working on a case. And if anybody files anything, there's a notification which I get. So I can basically the efficiency for me to push the work quicker. If the judge asks for assistance in any way, then basically if there's a case I discover, maybe at a bar, something I'm sitting down there on my phone, I discover a case right at the bar, I could send it to the court and file it. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, at least you understand I'm on top of my game in relation to that particular aspect. So I was very pleased about that. I must say, because I mean, you had it in the civil, but it then came into the criminal. So I was very pleased when that e-litigation portal was launched. So for me, I'm very pleased about that. That's a reform in St. Lucia I'm pleased about.
Yes, and although you AG, we know that criminal law is dear to your heart,
Very much
AG.
And I've come across a number of DBPs like Mr. Sullivan.
Ms. O'Brien?
Well, I am very pleased with the manner in which the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court has engaged in implementing technology into our system. Like the persons who spoke before me, I am very happy with the e-litigation portal because it also helps us private practitioners to organize ourselves better. If you know you have a hectic court schedule the following day, you can file your stuff the night before, other things that you have to file the night before, so you don't have to be at court and worrying whether your staff went to the registry and got them filed on time. So it helps with preparation and efficiency. But I'd also like to mention the implementation of AI software to use audio recordings to prepare transcripts, which the pilot project was done in St. Kitts. So very happy about that. But then that helps to speed up the time in which we can get transcripts for doing appeals. And we know that is something that is very important to the public and in making sure there is just access to justice.
Yes. Certainly, and you know, we also have legislation throughout the islands which allows audio and video transcripts to actually be proper transcripts. So we've had persons use the audio and the video and not wait for the actual written transcript. But the introduction of the speech to text, as we call it, AI software, is one that will also help to modernize the court and revolutionize the way we think of transcripts here, especially at the appellate level of the court. So, I mean, we're having a wonderful discussion, but we have to wrap up soon. But I just wanted to hear from you. Yes, the court has all of these initiatives that we are embarking on. is there anything that you would like to see the court do specifically to try to promote or enhance accessibility and awareness and essentially bridge this gap? Well, what suggestions would you offer the court in that regard? I'm taking notes.
In our, well, in
For
terms,
me, I would just say more educational sessions. You know, it's always important. And young people, well, the world nowadays, people go towards social media more than anything else. I know we have to be cautious when using social media because it could go haywire, but if we tread carefully and do it properly, it's a good way to promote certain things, certain aspects of the court, more radio programs and so on, more going to the schools and all of this. So generally, more education sessions so that people be more aware as to what the court does.
Thank you.
court,
Mr. Bryan?
about having more educational sessions in terms of the public lectures and even panel discussions. But for my jurisdiction, more so, I think we need permanent legal aid services or regular legal aid services in rural areas, especially, and not only and wider services being offered by the legal aid. Let me put it that way. Also, for us, we have a difficulty with space. So whilst we want the public to have access, and I heard the speaker from Montserrat speak about students coming to the court, our court space doesn't even accommodate the number of lawyers sometimes who are present for a particular sitting. So that is something that the executive will have to look into to see if that there's how they can accommodate us differently to encourage and or to enable other persons or members of the public to attend. So I think that's my contribution in relation to that.
Thank you. Wonderful. Ms. Barrett? Sorry, AG. No, you can go ahead, AG. It's fine.
No, go ahead, Ms. Barrett. Sorry, my apologies.
No,
Go ahead.
actually, I was thinking in terms of legal aid as well, because awareness without access, no gap is going to be bridged. There will still be an inclusivity issue. And I know the court can't finance legal aid per se, but I don't know if there's anything that the court can do in respect of the respective governments, because I think legal aid, for it to work properly and not be a hodgepodge thing, and as my learned friend Mr. O'Brien said, to extend the range of legal aid so it's not only for criminal matter. If it is to work and work effectively, then the governments are gonna have to be prepared to fund it. And so I don't know if there's anything that the court can do, moral suasion, I don't know what it is, but we need to get the governments on board that we need legal aid, accessible. If we don't have access, then it doesn't matter how much public lecture we do about the courts. If the people can't get to it, it makes no point.
Okay. Yes, we hear you. It's quite true. Well, we can continue to advocate as we have done in the past. For instance, our halls of justice. Yes.
Which we're working on in St. Lucia.
Yes. Yes, AG. Yes, AG.
Yeah, we're working on the Hall of Justice in St. Lucia assiduously. We've had a little issue, but we're working on it. But
Yes.
my view, and let me just piggyback on what Ms. O'Brien has said. Rather than people from outside come to the court, leave the court and leave the court and go into communities. Go to the town halls. How about a town hall Thursday? Let me say St. Lucia. Go to a community, a rural community. Have a town hall Thursday in Soufrière, in Creole. The Chief Justice speaks Creole excellent. There are a lot of St. Lucian judges. Go and speak to the people. You want to meet the community? Go there. Speak to the people in the native language of St. Lucia in the Creole. I'm sure Dominica, Creole. Go to the rural communities, go to Marigot, speak to the people, St. Lucian judges who speak Creole. I'm sure, Madam Registrar, you speak Creole. You could go and mingle with the same thing we've just said there. Say it in Creole to the people. You want to bridge the gap in St. Lucia? Say it in Creole. That was what when I saw that, I said, well, okay. If you want to be, I'm a part of an organization. We have Town Hall Tuesday. So we meet the people. Court, Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, let's go and meet the people. That was my suggestion. Practical, go and meet the people. Thank you, Madam Chief
One of
Registrar.
the ideas that we had, AG, when we had our roundtable discussion internally about what we wanted to do. So we're right there with you in agreement with that suggestion. Thank you for it. Mr. Sullivan?
I look forward to the day when we have open justice in terms of our cases being televised and through our social media channels. I think that will help to bring more awareness and take away the myth and the mystery, as Ms. Sankit has said.
Yes.
Yeah, once there's an understanding of what is going on, the mystery will go away eventually. So open justice, our legislation calls for open justice. And I suspect that one of these days, some smart lawyer is going to take the point that this is not open justice because you're doing it online and the public does not have access to it.
Well, the public has access online, especially for the Court of Appeal sittings. It's really open. And we also have students who come on, law students from the regional law schools. They, as part of their curriculum, they come in to view Court of Appeal cases, you know. But I know what you mean when you say live broadcasts on the social media platforms. And so sort of like the Privy Council would do. Yeah, so like I said, it's in our contemplation, and we hope that we would, as a court, be able to get there. So just in closing up, what has really brought us here today is the opening of the law year 2025. It's happening on Friday, the 10th of January, 2025, across the length and the breadth of the Eastern Caribbean. And in closing, we've been speaking about bridging the gap in community engagement. So just for your parting words to our listeners out there, what would you say to them to have them support this important event on the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court's calendar, our opening of the law year, as your final words? Anyone who wants to go first?
Let me go first. It's a traditional thing, but it has a lot of value in knowing what the court is doing in communicating and meeting with your court users, not only lawyers, judges, but court users and the executive, because the executive will be there. You can indicate your interest and what you expect from them at that forum, the eating and drinking session afterwards. So
Okay.
I would appeal to the public to get involved in all the member states and territories. It's not a Monster thing, it's an Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court thing, which benefits all of us.
Okay, wonderful.
I just want to encourage everyone that it's the opening of the new law year 2025, and it will be on this Friday. So whatever island you're from, just try your best to join in the activities that will be happening on that day. Feel free to attend the church services. For those of you from Dominica, remember SDA Church in Roseau, you can attend. Feel free to view the Guard of Honor wherever it might be. Listen to your radios, to everything that will be happening. And you can tune into the eccourts.org live and listen to the special sitting. So just try your best to come on board and be a part of what the court is doing on Friday.
I too encourage members of the public to participate in the special sitting for the opening of the new law year and the church services where the edifice allows. Join, log in, see who the acting chief justice is, put a face to who the legal practitioners who are speaking are, get the information, credible information as to what is being done, and you can hear ways forward.
I would also encourage everyone to log in. Lawyers, I can remember 25 years ago when I stepped on the shore and I saw the lawyers And they said lawyers will be walking. And I was like, what? Lawyers walking up the road?
Yeah.
And I have not missed it since. As long as I'm in Anguilla, I am walking. If there is walking, I am going to the church service. I think nothing sends a more powerful message than seeing the people who are there to serve the people among the people. So I think it is important that we all come out, let the public see us, let the public understand that we are there to serve them, and I'll encourage everybody to come out.
Well, thank you, Ms. Bad. I think, let's see. I just wanted to say, basically, St. Lucian's login, follow the court proceedings. You'll see exactly what's happening, and participate. The Bethel Tabernacle in Sanssouci, it can take a number of people. People can come to the church service and follow the special sitting online and just participate. That's basically what I would ask St. Lucians to participate, and the members and persons from other territories. Thank you, Madam Registrar. That's basically it.
Thank you so much. And there you have it, another episode of our Meet the Speakers Live. And today we've been chatting with the Honorable Leslie Mondesi, Attorney General of St. Lucia, Mr. Oris Sullivan, Director of Public Prosecutions of the Territory of Montserrat, Ms. Merlene Barrett, President of the Bar Association of Anguilla, Her Honor Ms. Candia Carrot George as Chief Magistrate of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Miss Michelle O'Brien, who's the representative of the Utter Bar for St. Kitts and Nevis. We'd like to thank each and every one of you, our speakers, for joining us here today. We had a very lovely discussion, and we're all looking forward to Friday, the 10th of January. I'd like to thank everyone who is viewing online, those of you who viewed yesterday and today. And tomorrow we meet our feature speaker, His Lordship, the Honorable Mr. Mario Michel, our Chief Justice. He will be joining us tomorrow on Meet the Speakers. So for now, thank you all once again. Have a very pleasant evening. Goodbye. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Michelle John Thibbles, Chief Registrar.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Eastern
Such a pleasure.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
presents
Bye-bye.
Meet the Speakers 2025. Join us as we chat live with the speakers, addressing you for the opening of the law year 2025. His Lordship, the Honorable Mr. Mario Michel, Acting Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. The Honorable Leslie Mondesi, Attorney General and Representative of St. Lucia. Her Honor, Miss Candia Carrot George, Representative of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Miss Shannon Jones Gittins, Director of Public Prosecutions and Representative of Antigua and Barbuda. Miss Siobhan Spencer Joseph, Solicitor General and Representative of Grenada. Mr. John Carrington, King's Counsel and Representative of the British Virgin Islands. Miss Jean Dyer, President and Representative of the OECS Bar Association. Miss Merlene Barrett, Representative of the Territory of Anguilla. Mr. Oris Sullivan, Representative of the Territory of Montserrat. Miss Michelle O'Brien, Representative of St. Kitts and Nevis. Mr. Jamali John, Representative of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. With your host, Michelle John Thibbles, Chief Registrar.